Okay, I need to capture what I've been doing on video. So, here we go. Just random stuff. Mostly, I don't know if I would call this bifacing or flake making. Making flakes. Let's see. It's basically just taking questionable material and trying to get something out of it. I don't know what this is. Heat treated something or other. Guess it's Keokuk. I suppose. Could be raw, I don't know. All I know is that it naps. Seems to be napping well. Yeah. Seems to nap very well. So I've got several pieces like this of different materials, so I'll try to capture it all on video in this session. I've got Obsidian coming up pretty soon. That's why I got my foot protector, my gaiters on for the Obsidian coming up. It's like a moon rock obsidian little chunk. There's a crack in here. I don't know what that's going to do to this. It's still early, so you'll hear birds and neighbors probably, maybe the dogs. We shall see. Not too much narration because this is it's both very intense as far as focus, but also very subconscious. Supposed to do this all last week, but I was not feeling like doing this. I had the blahs all week. I could be trying to get used to the heat. It cooled down a lot yesterday. So I felt better. Could be coincidence. I'm collecting debitage flakes. Yeah, a little bitty debitage flakes from this My smaller billet is working very well. I tried it out earlier, but I think I'll use it mainly on the Obsidian. One and 1/8 by 3. Yeah, I need a little more heft than this for a larger piece, but it works well, and we shall see how it will work on the Obsidian. I've been trying it mostly on heat treat up to now, although I did try it on a raw piece earlier. That crack goes in there a little ways, but not too far. So it looks like I can get a fairly good biface. I've been selling a lot of unrefined bifaces, but I'm going to try to refine it as many as I can. I'm going to try to refine as many of the bifaces as I can, instead of just saying, well, that's it, no time this week, so just offer it as an unrefined biface. I'm not getting the full potential out of the stone that way, as far as income. Yeah, I am paying attention to that these days. The grand experiment. What's the grand experiment? Well, you know, selling Flintknapped stuff. See how it goes. For years I didn't do that. I just gave it away, or sometimes I would sell some stuff. But for the most part, it was just a hobby. I was just a hobbyist, just doing it for fun amongst 90% of the other guys who are doing it for money. Yeah, I go to a Knapping and everyone's selling their stuff on the side or whatever. Or they were set up with their cases of napped points with little price tags on them. I said, that's kind of cool. I never bought any, but that was kind of cool. And now I'm doing it. Except I don't put little price tags on my points. Nope, nope, nope. Mainly because I don't know what to charge. But I'm getting information from my auctions. I'm pretty much getting to know what the market value is. Pretty much. The auction is variable. Sometimes I get it much different prices for the same items in different weeks. So it just depends on what's in demand that week. It's highly variable. But I've been looking at my past auctions, and I'll get the averages and stuff, and I'll be able to get a good idea of what the market is, just out of curiosity. Doesn't really matter too much. I don't do this by formula anyway. I don't say, okay, I gotta make such and such number of such and such items because they yield this much or that much. I need to make certain amounts or whatever. It's not all mathematical. It's just random. I can't do anything to spec. I don't know if it's because I'm a spaz or it's just too unreliable. I can't do anything to spec. Not even a specific amount of a certain type of point or biface. It's got to be completely random. Whatever works that week is what gets posted in the auction. Because you never know what can happen. There's a lot of risk. Sometimes the heat treats are bad. Something went wrong with the heat treats. So I can't offer a certain amount of heat treat. And I don't know why it goes bad sometimes. Maybe the lid was not on properly. Or just that particular batch had too much water in it and I didn't dry it out long enough. But I have no way of knowing how much water it had in it. Sometimes that batch of rock just is very sensitive to heat treat or not very sensitive at all. So I gotta heat it twice. Sometimes I forget I have a heat treat sitting there waiting to be turned, the heat turned on. I never turned the heat on and it's Sunday night and I go, wait a second, I'm supposed to take that out for tomorrow and I hadn't even turned it on. Dang it. Yeah, because the rocks are all sitting there with the original colors. They hadn't changed color. That's why I know they haven't been heated. I'm saying, dang, why didn't I turn this sucker on? You know, stuff like that. So everything's highly chaotic. And if I try to do napping every day and make it a priority, it's like you got to spend the entire day, literally the entire day from the time you wake up till the time you go to sleep, figuring out how to get the priorities done and get them done properly. Like you wouldn't everything else, it does not involve risk. You try to take the risk out of doing it, or plan for the unexpected, and then if the unexpected happens, you just put your plan into effect. No matter what time of day it is, no matter what anybody else wants you to do, if your priority is still there, if your to-do list is still active, everything else gets put to the side. Until you get that priority done. It could be like 4 o'clock in the morning trying to get the priority done. I've been there, done that. So in order to not go through that mess, everything has to be random. It can't be to spec, it can't be organized, because you don't know what's going to happen. Too many variables, can't control them all. Can't even control a little bit of them. So you can't control the variables. See that? If I was trying to make this to spec and I get one of these cracks in it, it just ruined the whole thing. Just with one strike, you can make the whole thing not meet spec. And then you go, well, let's see. I got some more of it. And I got more sitting there. You go, okay, I've got to put that down and get the other piece. Then you end up with a bunch of pieces that have little mishaps on them. At the end of a few weeks, you get a bunch of mishap pieces. What am I going to do with all the mishaps? I got to prioritize what I'm going to do with them. So they become a priority to deal with the mishaps. So you're dealing with all the mishaps. Make them into blades or points, or sell them in batches after you clean up all the defects. Things like that. I don't know why I always leave myself plenty of width when I really don't need it. I don't need it to be that wide, but I leave myself with lots of width out of habit. I probably should just take them down much further to begin with, and then I don't have to deal with thinning the thin pieces when they're wide. Thinning the thin pieces when they're wide is I'm beginning to think it is not a good investment in time to try to learn or even to do the thinning on wide pieces. There's very few stones that will allow you to do that relatively easily. Most stones have a fit when you try to thin them when they're wide. They do not want to cooperate. They will have a hissy fit. Especially in the middle. In the middle of the middle, the center of gravity. Yeah. So maybe I should limit the number of teardrop shaped stuff that I do. But all that stuff has got to be analyzed very carefully. And then you can't do it in your head, you got to write it down. And then wherever you write it down, you can't lose it. And if you put it on your phone somewhere, you got to make sure it don't get deleted or mixed up with something else. Or I wrote the note down, but what did it pertain to? What exactly? Is it a certain type of stone that was a note for, or was it in general? I wrote that note about width. Was that a specific type of stone? Because if it was, and I don't have the specific type of stone written down, then that note was useless. All that trouble to keep that note handy, and it's useless. So you got to write blah blah blah, not for a specific type of stone. That sort of thing. And it goes on and on for all kinds of different notes. You got to write down, in many cases, what the note does not pertain to. Not only what it does pertain to, but what it does not pertain to. So you got to take notes on your notes. Yeah. Or put notes with your notes. Make notes on your notes. Footnotes on their footnotes. Yep. I got notes everywhere. All kinds of stuff written down. Where does it go? I got big old long keep notes. I got keep notes. It takes me like 30 minutes to review some of these notes I got stored up. And they get buried under, you know, just whatever I write down goes into the notes, and then they get buried, and then I gotta scroll through, and it takes me a long time to find them. And then when I find them, I go, okay, there it is. Now, how do I make it accessible? I gotta put it in an accessible note area. So I gotta make I gotta make a folder of accessible notes, and then I go around, and now I got notes in duplicate places because I gotta copy and paste. I don't want to delete my original, just in case I forgot that I made a separate folder for my accessible notes. Now I used to do all these note-taking things for artifacts, and where is the source for this particular type of artifact? Or I just read a paper on blah blah blah. I'll take some notes on that certain archaeological text on a certain thing. And it got to the point where I don't know if it's yielding any good results, because I don't discuss it on video, because I don't think I have sufficient information to discuss it. I just wrote it down, and I just read it and wrote down my notes because I thought it was interesting. Now, people who remember all this stuff and don't have to take notes, those are usually the ones that will discuss things, because it's all in their head. They don't have to go do the research, or I'm not going to do the research. They don't have to organize the notes. It's all up in their head. Got instant recall. Me, I don't have instant recall whatsoever. If I recall it instantly, it's going to be wrong. I guarantee it. I can recall it instantly, but it will be incorrect. Something will be off. So I'm not going to do it no more. Nope, I decided that's it. No more. So all those notes that I took, oh well. See that? See that? I get one defect. I remove other defects, but I get a defect to live with. I don't know if that's going to be affecting everything or not. It's the shock wave somehow meets and it creates that crack, but it doesn't go all the way through. It's just a weird thing. I had two flakes that took off, and they didn't want to meet up and join up in the middle, so they went their own separate ways and left that crack right there. But it doesn't go all the way through, luckily. It just goes in a little ways. But it's scary because if you're really thin, that can open up and crack the whole thing in half if you put it under a lot of stress. Yeah, you're sitting here, you're napping, you go, okay, I need one big flake. I can clear that out. Boom, and then what do you get for being smart? You stupid yourself into something like that, trying to be smart. Yep. That's what I used to tell my kids. Don't smart yourself into doing something stupid. I smarted myself into doing something stupid right there. There's a lot of that going around. Smarting yourself into doing something stupid. So I think that's good enough for that. Let's try another one. This one I think was Keo Cook, and I don't know if it was raw or heat treated or lightly heat treated. It's probably not heavily heat treated because it didn't nap all that easily. It's quite steppy, but if I narrow it down, it's not a problem. It's just being wide. Keeping it wide seems to have diminishing returns, and you would think I'd learn after all these years, but I haven't not learned yet. Because it doesn't make no sense. You should be able to learn to keep it wide and make it thin. Keep doing it over and over again until you're successful at it. Yeah. Well, I suppose I could be one day successful at it. But it's not being something worthwhile right now. That's the problem. Alright, this is Ocalachert. Heat treat. Probably in excess of 600 degrees. Ocala, Florida. I know a guy sitting right on a big source of it. It is kind of dicey material, but when it's nice, it's extremely nice. And it has translucency to it. You can't see it. But, you know, it's beautiful. When it works very well. When it's not working really well. Yeah. Oh yeah, my son teases me because there's talking about saving notes and prioritizing stuff you've written down. He says, Dad, there's a favorites. You can make it a favorite. I tell him, what if it's all my favorite? I don't got no specific favorites. What if it's all my favorite? It's so nice. It's a blessing to have a brain that keeps it all straight. If you don't have a brain that keeps all these things straight and accessible immediately and in a correct format and accurate, if you don't have that kind of brain, life is so much different than people who do have that kind of brain. How did I do at work? How did I keep myself organized at work? Yeah, that took a while. I had to spend a lot of my time organizing. Luckily, you once you get into a routine, it's all the same. And there's not much risk in doing drawings. It's just a matter of going by a checklist. You do this, this. Go down the checklist. And each item on the checklist has no risk. It just got to be done. You know? There's no risk involved. There's no times when you have it on your list and then you try to do it and it doesn't work. There's none of that. So you can go by the checklist. And you can even start to assign how long it's going to take you. Because that's the first thing they ask you at work. Okay, this is what you guys need to do now. How long is it going to take? We need to charge the customer. And then you go blah blah blah. Got it right here. That's how long it takes. Because I get the list. It's accessible. Sometimes I pin it up on the wall. I used to pin up charts and stuff on the wall. Measurements and all kinds of weird little details. And they don't change. It's just standard operating procedure. So that was easy. Compared to this, that was easy. Yeah, I know how long it takes me to do a blade or a point on average. But if I were to treat this like I would treat a job and try to estimate how long it's going to take me, like if someone emails me, how long do you think it'll take, or how much time or money would it be for blah 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 to make this blah blah blah? I have all the data. I can say, oh, that's easy. Normally it would take this much because I'll average it all out. The price, the time it takes, the material cost, how long does it take to get the material in, what seller offers the material, all that stuff. I got all that stuff. Now, what happens when the time comes that it's got to be done? When you start doing it, and something happens and it doesn't get done right, or you start doing it and what you thought you had as a good material is not a good material, and you start doing it and you find out the seller doesn't have any available anymore. But I just got some of that from you like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, well, I'm out. Translation, that means someone already bought up all that stuff the guy had. Somebody came up with a truckload and $5,000 in his pocket and bought everything he had. That kind of thing. He's not going to say that, but that's what happens. So not available. Okay, so got to call the customer back. I thought, what was available is not available no more. It does happen on the job as well when I was working. There are some times where there's supply issues. Guess what happens when there's supply issues on the job? Your company loses a lot of money. Now, you're not going to get paid less, so it doesn't affect you as the worker. But as the business owner, whether it's a Flintknapping business or a machinery making business, the owner takes the hit if there's supply issues. Or if you had to go to plan B, something went wrong with the whole thing. Yeah. That's what it's like when you try to make stuff that entails risk. You take the hit. You don't get paid, which means you don't eat. Mm-hmm. Anyway, just in case you were wondering, you're probably not wondering, but just in case if you were, this worked out okay. There's a couple of areas that were nasty. A couple of areas that didn't have a consistency, but I think I got rid of it all. There you go. That's it. That's good. These two are good. See, I leave this thick because Ocala heat treat cannot be thinned or down a lot. It cannot be. I learned already. Yeah, I learned it. Alright, so here we go. We got Moon Rock Obsidian next. I call it Moon Rock because it looks like it's from outer space. We're gonna get hit with a meteorite that looks like this one of these days. A big chunk of obsidian. Yeah. Obsidian meteorite. Aren't most of the meteorites made of some kind of iron? But planets can also be hit by comets. That's the devastating one, right? Let's change the subject a little bit. What is the most devastating thing that can happen besides a meteorite? Is getting hit by a comet. Now, the comets are like composed of dust and ice. Stuff like that. This is the small billet, by the way. I was using the larger one earlier on the Ocala, but this one I'm going to start using the smaller one. Anyway, comets are ice and dust, right? How does that affect the Earth? Most of it blows up in the atmosphere. I used to watch these shows where you would learn what these things would do, these dangers from space. I forget what a comet would do to the Earth. Sequence of events. It doesn't create a crater. It just ignites the atmosphere, right? Scorches the surface of the Earth. Creates huge shock waves. Like concussion shock waves. Because of the explosive nature of the contact between the comet and the atmosphere. Ouch. Even with the little billet, I still took too much off. Dang it. Why is obsidian so flakery? Why is it so flakery? Yeah, it's a smoky obsidian. It's nice to look at, but this is very, very flakery. Yeah. Surprise, surprise. I should have known that one, huh? The obsidian is easy to flake and cause these big old dished out areas. That hurt. Look at that. I don't want to look at it, but I have to look at it. I gotta look at what I did. Because I was overconfident with my new billet. I got cocky. I didn't think it would remove that much. Nope, nope, nope. Some of you guys commented, why do I use such a coarse abrader? Because I like it. That's why I use it. I use it because I like it. I like that it's coarse and it's very aggressive and it creates a very jaggedy edge. I like that because it can remove a lot of the edge easily when I want to. Yeah. I like to use coarse abraders. I like to use coarse sandpaper. Yeah. I like to use any kind of tool that's highly aggressive. The tools that take forever to use, like fine-tooth saws. I like aggressive saws. Fine-tooth saws and very plane, you know, when you do a hand planing thing that removes extremely thin shavings. Anything that's not aggressive drives me nuts. Yeah. It's got to be a mental condition, I know. But that's just the way it is. I'm a woodworker. I work with very aggressive tools when I'm woodworking. If I can. If it's not possible, fine. But, you know, I'm one of those guys that if I can find a way to use my table saw to shape this piece of wood instead of a hand tool or something else, I'm going to use the darn table saw. With a very aggressive blade. Oh, yes. Just the way it is. I don't know why I'm like that. I got a feeling it's like ADHD. Yeah. I've slowed down quite a bit with my knappings over the years. One of my friends told me, you know, you used to be known for making stuff really fast. I said, I know. Well, what happened? Either I got old and slow, or it's not age, it's the trying to satisfy the demand for people wanting to know how to go slow, to nap in a very detailed way, in a very methodical way, very thoughtful and very logical, not spastic and aggressive, and fast and intuitive, and subconscious and hyperactive. Yeah, they want to see the other side. They want to see the calm, the methodical, the careful, and the precise. So I've been trying to adjust. And yeah, it drives me up the wall, but it is going to produce some good results. I'm thinking and I'm seeing good results from persistently trying to slow it down, trying to be a little more careful, a little more thoughtful, put more maintenance into my tools, be less expedient. I'm trying, but it doesn't always work. But it is yielding results that I'm looking for. I do want to get into that side of napping. The careful, slow. So it affects the whole process. I have a hard time going back and forth from spastic to careful. So I got to choose one or the other. At least during the same day. I can switch from one day to the next. I can be spastic one day and careful the next day. But During that same day, I can't be switching around. It messes with the mojo. Or with the groove, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. If you start out being spastic and then go really carefully, and then spastic again, and then carefully again, you can feel the frustration and the sweat start to bug you. At least it does with me. Some people would say, yeah, it makes me anxious just listening to you talk about anxiety. You're making me nervous talking about getting nervous. Yeah, I know. It's catchy. Like if I was yawning the whole time during the video, you would be yawning the whole time during the video. So I'm talking about anxiety during the video. You get anxiety. It's funny. I know that's what it happens. I know it. I still don't care. Nope. Yeah, some of you guys, you don't get nervous or anxiety or anything like that from the video. Except when it ends. And they go, okay, that's it. Then the anxiety builds up. Oh. No, not yet. Don't say that's it yet. I don't know. I wish it was like that. Yeah. Why do I wish it was like that? I'll get more views. Do I want more views? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. See, the Obsidian does that also, that crack right there, but that's not a crack. That went the other way. That's a peak. See that? So instead of cracking down into the material, it came up. So there's a little ridge there. Same type of thing as the other one. Where is it? See that? Same type of thing, but this one, this is a slight peak, but there's also a crack alongside it. Come on, focus. You're not going to focus on it. See, my finger's in focus, but that's not in focus. See, there is a peak on one side, but the other side dove in. So it cracked. This one has a peak, but no diving anywhere. There's no diving. So it's a little bit better behaved. But it's still, you know, you think you're smart and you take a flake that's really big and you get that. It can lead to problems later. Now to avoid those, got another one right there. To avoid those, I would probably have to change the tip, the way the tip is shaped. I'm thinking, and some other guys have suggested that. Or change the platform, change something, or maybe all three. Change the striking area, the tip, and the way I'm hitting it. Change everything. We shall see. Or we just live with it and not care. I like that third option. So then I don't have to worry about remembering what to do. How did I avoid that again? Where's my notes? Is it in my favorites or in my regular notes? Maybe it's in both places and I edited one of them, but I didn't edit the other one. So one of my notes is wrong and one of my notes is right. Which one is it? I don't know. Screw the notes. Yeah. Heck with the notes. That's what I see. All right. That's why you have a subconscious. That's what it's for. So you don't have to try to consciously remember everything. Before there was writing, there was no notes. I think maybe it was a lot more peaceful back then when you did not have the option to write notes. Yeah. Today's episode brought to you by the letter N and the word notes. Yeah, you didn't have to worry about writing down your notes back in the day when there was no writing. So you had to have your subconscious keep all that stuff on file. And then bring it up without even thinking about it. Yeah. Sounds like a good plan. But some people's subconscious don't work right. Yeah. It gets stored in my subconscious, but I find that if I don't at least screen the results a little bit that come out, you know, do a little bit of a check at the door before the information comes out or before the action gets done, I've got to check it. Check its credentials at the door, because a lot of times it's not right. It's inaccurately remembered. In my case, anyway. Yeah, so before I hit, in many cases, before I actually make a hit, I double check, or I think about what else, or I'm consciously aware of what I'm doing when I'm setting this stuff up for a strike. And if I'm not talking, I can do that. If I'm talking, I can't put a little filter on what I'm doing. So when I'm talking, or when I'm doing this on video, not necessarily talking, but when the video kind of interferes with the filter, you're not seeing how I normally nap off camera. So you're getting the video version of how I nap, and not the version that I would be using if I was by myself in a quiet place or whatever. There's a subtle difference. But it is there. That subtle difference could make a difference in the way you are trying to learn to nap. If you follow me exactly, I mean, some people can follow exactly and then they don't get the same result. That could be why. It could be because you are imitating a way that is not quite the best way, because I'm a little bit distracted. So sometimes I don't say anything. I have to do the damage control. It's like a little bit of chaos. Sometimes I have to focus on damage control. Sometimes I forget to. That kind of thing. And I think I've talked about that before. It's just FYI. It really doesn't affect much, but it can make a difference. So if you're thinking, ooh, I should have done this or that, you're probably right. Ooh, he did that wrong. Or why did he do it that way? It's stupid. Then you're probably right. You're probably right because I'm distracted. I'm not doing it the way I should be doing it. So there you go. Right? Make sense or no? I don't know. This is very crackly obsidian. Yes, it is. I gotta be very careful with it. Alright. And I'm using the really jagged, aggressive, and coarse abrader on the edge of obsidian. Some of you guys are cringing and looking away. Yeah, here's the finer grit. Yeah. And there's step fractures on this side. Now, if you're getting step fractures just like I'm getting by following my methods, congratulations. You learn how to do monkey see, monkey do too good. Yeah, you're learning too good. Because you're copying the mistakes too. Yeah. Beautiful. I like it when those flakes come off so easily and without shattering all the pieces. I still can't get that step fracture though. I try to come in from that side and it's still ugly. Yeah. Oh well. Why did I take my glove off? Because I'm thinking maybe if I don't have the glove on, I can feel what's going on a little bit better. And that can make a difference in the damage control area. It's so subtle sometimes that the glove can mess me up. Yeah. I still have the step fracture. I mean, you can't see them that badly, but I can see that that's all crunchy right there. Now, this is crackly obsidian, but you see that it's different on this side than it is on that side as far as gloss. See how glossy this is, and then see how not so glossy that is. There's different consistencies from one side to the next. Now, is that why it's step fracturing? I don't know. Could be. Is there a way to compensate for that when you're napping? I don't think so. I don't know what to do about that. Sometimes if you can notice a difference in the way it's napping, you can compensate and, you know, adjust. But it feels the same on either side. It does feel the same. So it just this side doesn't want to cooperate as much as the other side. But it feels like it naps the same way. I use the same strikes, the same force, the same angles, everything. I don't know what I can do to make it better other than grinding it more, which I don't like doing because then I take a big bite out of the side. Maybe I should make the tip of my tool more perfect. Sometimes it develops a little bump in the very tip that you definitely don't want, although I have napped with it on there for expediency's sake. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it that way. I'm gonna move on. What else do I got on the agenda? I got some more on the agenda here. Yes, I do. Here we go. We'll leave that obsidian for another time. Okay, where's the... I just wanted to make something out of that moon rock type piece. All right, so here we are. Here we are on this one here. What we got? 520 degrees. All right. LT. Loser territory. I don't know what that means. LT. Let's tango. 520 degrees. Let's tango. Yeah. It is a heat treat. I scooped it. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be scooping it. Yeah, it's going to be one of those times, one of those days where there's no good options. It's an interesting stone, because I've seen a stone like this, and napping it in the raw state was a really, really ugly experience. If this is that same stone, it naps excellent at 520. And I know where to get more of it. I think. Well, I know where to buy more of it from Keith. I bought it from Keith, my friend. I might be able to find some of this stuff myself. This goes in the heat treat over here. I like it. Even though those were a couple of clunkers, I can still make stuff. Now, what is this? This is an internal defect in the stone. That was not me. Nope. Not my fault on that one. Why is it in the middle? That's luck. I got lucky that it's in the middle. Right? I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes it's not bad when it's in the middle, because then it's stronger that way. You know, even though those are defect, it's still strong enough to be made into a point if the defect is in the middle. But in some cases, when the defect is in the middle and you start getting it thinned down and you hit the base and it snaps right across where that defect is because it was a weak spot. Yeah. Sometimes that's the way it goes. How it goes, nobody knows. Let's see what it did. Ooh, I like it. That goes in the heat treat over here. Heat treat good flakes for me. The greed pile. I have a greed pile where I greedy my stuff over there. Yeah. Oh yeah. I get greedy and I put my greedy stuff over there because I like this. Yeah. Ooh, it got rid of it. It did get rid of it. This has some promise. Promising. Okay, I don't see any cracks. There's one here. It's mostly healed, but I see one little possible defect there. I need to remove the cortex to see what's underneath. To see if it's good stuff under there. I'll take it off in a minute. I want to get some more of these good flakes. I still got obsidian over here. I can feel it. All right. I didn't stand up and brush off my pants yet. Let's try to brush them off. Hold on while we pause for station identification and brushing off the obsidian flakes because I can feel them rearing their itchy heads. Okay. Now where was I? I don't remember. I should consult my notes. Let's see. Oh yes, this comes off easily. If only other stones were this good. Holy moly. I think we're gonna end off on this positive note on this stone. What type of stone is it? Did I mention? No, it just says 520 LT. Let's Tango. It's a Let's Tango stone. No, it's Pedernales, right? Pedernales stone. Pedernales River. It's probably Pedernales River stone. Or I don't know. There's so many places to find stuff like this. Yeah, this type is relatively common, this type of stone. So it probably can be found in Pedernales River or thereabouts. But it's probably available in other areas. Also, maybe the Llano River. Who knows? Is that? I think that's a river. I know it's a town, but I think there's a Llano River. All right. Oh yes. Now that big old area. Ooh, that flaked so easily. I gotta watch it. I was only supposed to take a little flake. Like that. Just a little contouring flake. See what I can come up with. Because I need to send a flake over that way. But I don't want to aggressively punch the edge and then make a big scoop out. Because I want to keep this flat on this side. If I do a big scoop out, it messes it all up. Yeah. Just a little bit of contouring just so I can lower that edge a little bit. Ooh, that didn't take off enough. Perfect platform and nothing happened. All right. Story of my life. Yeah, that's a little bit better. A little bit better. I can hit that with indirect percussion. I don't need to try to billetize this, but I do need to billetize this one, because that's got a potential for a good flake right there. Oh yes, I like it. It goes in a good pile, except I don't know why it terminated like that, but I'll take it. I'll take this over an overshot any day. Oh yes. Any day of the week. But as I was saying earlier, keeping it wide and try to thin it while it's wide might not be such a great strategy. I've been trying to learn to thin the wide points for years without encountering all the step fractures and issues. And it may be that once I start getting diminishing returns, it's time to quit. You really don't know if you're getting diminishing returns until your productivity affects your income. Then you can see it right away. Or if it's affecting your return on your investments. It's much easier to see if it's affecting your bottom line. Yep. You can't deny it. You gotta say it's affecting my bottom line. It's right there, black and white, or red. Black and white and red all over. Something's not right. Come on. All right. So yeah, we got some issues with curvature. When I took off that big old flake, it created a little bit of curvature, which is not too bad, but if I'm not careful, it can become a big issue. A big issue requiring a big tissue. Yeah, you're trying to take the curve out, snap the whole thing. Okay, that's not good. Let's do this one. Let's do the wide aluminum. Oh yeah, you guys with headphones, I'm going to use a sander, okay? Too late. I warned you too late. Yeah. Gee, thanks, man. You're welcome. I did warn you. Can't say I didn't. It's late, yeah, but can't say I didn't. You might say, isn't a warning supposed to happen before? No one says a warning has to happen before. Really? Is it part of the definition? Probably is. Probably isn't. I'm just being stupid. But if it's not part of the definition, then yeah, you can worm someone after the fact. Yeah. Then it's called a disclaimer. I don't know. Ooh, it does nap well, but the issue is still there with the crack there. See that? Still there with that little crack there. This one's healed on this side, but not there. It could become an issue. Yeah. Depending on how deep that crack goes. Alright, so these hits are critical to taking out the curve. Okay. So yeah, if I can learn how to do things to spec, find a way to do it without notes, and solve the supply issue problems. And improve my knapping in general. I might be able to start doing things to order. Yeah. Maybe. Right? If I can solve those issues. We shall see. But for now, everything's random. I gotta do everything randomly to keep my sanity. Nice flake, no crack in the middle. The sliding billet seems to be good for avoiding the cracking in the middle, I think. It looks like I tend to only get the cracking in the middle with the indirect percussion tool. So learning how to deal with those cracks that run down the middle of these when the flakes take independent courses and you have that crack in the middle. In case you missed it, to avoid these. See, I don't get that often with the flat billet. I tend to get that with the rounded tip. So that's one of the things I'll be working on. If that theory is correct. I'm working on it. I am working towards solving it. I've already got ideas. I've already got tools that are made to deal with it. I'm just not using them yet on video. Yeah. I want to be able to consistently use the tools. and not just a one-off. Make a point and then think, oh yeah, it'll be like that forever now. And then someone will ask, can you demonstrate that again? Sure, I'll demonstrate it. And then I demonstrate it and it's nothing like what I did before. That's what I want to try to avoid. Yeah, I've got to be able to demonstrate it over and over again. Predictably. I lost the tip because I don't know what I did there. Something happened. Something weird happened there. I don't remember what the tip issue was that I was working on that created that weird fracture. Anyways, it always hurts to lose any amount off the tip because it profoundly affects the profile. The profile being the shape around the outside. Ooh, sweet. I will pause for those and gloat. Yeah. I enjoy some of the process. Okay. I'm still trying to preserve width and thin it down with a lot of width. Yes, it naps well. Yes, it does. It's not buttery. It's not creamy. If it looks like it's nice and buttery and creamy, it's not. It probably looks that way on video. It's kind of dry and crackly. It just flakes well. Otherwise, when it's not being crackly. I'm intentionally trying to take bold flakes because when I start getting down to the little ones, it's very crackly. With big bold flakes, it tends to avoid the issue. With the little flakes, there's a lot of crackling going on. These birds in their bird nests are going crazy. There's some birds up there near up in the rafters, right? And they're dropping little bits of stuff into my shop. I just saw something fall in the corner over there. Some little debris from the nest or something. Why do I mention that? I just noticed those things I don't know why. Probably because I'm sensitive to where these flakes are flying, so any little noise off in the corner, if it's not a flake, I go, what is that? Believe it or not, I know where these flakes are flying in different places. I don't know why I keep track of that. I tend to keep an ear out for where these flakes are flying, and I don't know why. I don't need to. Doesn't really matter where they're flying. Gotta clean them up no matter what. Yeah, little crackly little flakes. Anyway. Alright, so that's good enough for that. Alright, so this is pretty much like some other videos I've already made, but oh well. So this is Keel Cook, I think. It's not fully heat treated because it's still a little bit dry. This is the Obsidian moon rock looking stuff. This is Texas, probably Pedernales chert heat treat, and this is Ocala chert heat treat. There it is. So, I don't know. I'm going to search through these flakes and offer them up. Hold on. Some of the flakes will be available in the boxes of debitage. Yeah. I'll pick up the smaller flakes and put them in the debitage box. The bigger flakes, when I accumulate enough, sometimes I offer them for sale as boxes of heat treat flakes, medium size. Yep, let's see. There it is. Okay, that's it.